Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Please welcome, you're all welcome to this morning's special COVID edition of the Filmmaker's Life because Tanya Kersey, my guest today, has COVID. Lexi Alexandra Loreth, who's the filmmaker liaison for Filmmaker Success, she has COVID. I got sick yesterday. We are waiting to find out if I have COVID. So, yes, this is the special. And I just thank you so much, Tanya, for joining us despite the fact that you're feeling terribly sick.
Like I said to you, the show must go
Show
on.
must go
I started
on.
my career as an actress, so I believe that. So I'm drugged up, very much so. I've taken cough medicine. I've taken every kind of drug you could imagine. I'm like flying high right now.
Woohoo!
Hopefully it will last. We'll see, because I could not. I was on my deathbed this morning. Believe
Oh
me or
my
not.
God. I mean, thank you so much because that philosophy of the show must go on is really we'll get there. We're going to
That's
talk.
old. That's old school, though.
That's old school, but that's the way it is.
Yeah.
And we were laughing yesterday. One of my clients, we have a major deadline on January the 10th, and his office manager was on the call, and she said at 5 o'clock, she's like, "Okay, I've got to go. Bye." We were just laughing. We were just like, we've got this massive deadline, millions of dollars on the line, and she's
Yep.
like, "5 o'clock, gotta go."
Yep.
All right. So, welcome everybody. My name is Joanne Butcher, and I am a business coach for filmmakers. And today I'm going to be interviewing the only other person I know in the world who is a business coach for filmmakers, Tanya Kersey. So, we're going to have lots of fun today.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
And what we do, Tanya, is we talk for an hour. I ask you a whole bunch of questions, and then we'll open it up at the last 10 minutes for questions. And
Okay.
at the top of the hour, you can just leave. You don't have to say goodbye. And you can stay if you want. But
Adios, amigos.
we'll see how you last up on
Okay.
your medications. So, my first question that I always love to ask is when did you first know well, you just said you started out as an actress. When did you first know that you were going to act or be in
Probably I was about 7 or 8 years old, and I did a play in my parents' living room, and I played an old lady. And from that point on, and I was in ballet. I was at Dance Theater of Harlem when Mrs. Gimbels actually bought Alvin Ailey and Carl Shook the studio in
Wow.
Harlem. So I was in that first class that they ever had. First it was Harlem School of the Arts, which became Dance Theater of Harlem. So I was in dance, I was in all of these things. And I went to Rutgers, and my professor was Avery Brooks, the great accomplished actor. And
Wow.
I did a scene where I had to be pregnant. I was pregnant. I mean, it was just crazy. He got it out of me. And the truth be told is I was a horrible actress,
Oh,
but I knew how to market myself. And so I had this all American look. Everybody said I had the Janet Jackson look from my headshot. So of course I did Fame and lots of soap operas and stuff. And it was all about the marketing because I really sucked as an actress. But I knew how to market myself.
Tanya,
And so I worked all the time.
wow. I so love that you said this because I had a client who was an actor, and she said when before she started working with me, she told me, she said, "Well, I've been working with my favorite acting teacher for a year, and he's told me that I'm just not really digging deep enough." And I
Yeah.
said, "What kind of bullshit is that?" And she was shocked, you know. And I said, there are actors out there who are very famous who are not good actors. And I'm not advocating being a bad actor, but I'm advocating having a business sense. And she was like, "But what are you talking about?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. Andy Garcia. I don't think Andy Garcia is a very good
Yeah.
actor." But I said, "Do you think he's checking his bank account every day, asking himself if he's digging deep enough in his parts? I don't think so." So
And
I'm really,
I came up in old school acting when before the internet. So we used to send out these picture postcards, and
yes.
I had the foresight. I don't know how. I guess I just was born to market. And I
Hmm.
put together something called Tanya's newsletter. It was literally a paper newsletter. I did it on my PC and I printed it up and I sent it out. And it was an update every month of what I was doing. Worked like a charm. I mean, it was amazing. I would walk into a casting director's office. Oh, Tanya, I heard you did this. Oh, Tanya, I heard you do that. And that proves the power of like keeping in connection with people. Because at one point when I moved out to LA, my manager sent me out here to act in more stuff because I had done soap operas. I had done All My Children, As the World Turns, a bunch of stuff. And my first audition was for 227. And the casting director said, how old are you, Tanya? And I was like, 17. And I'm like 25 at the time. And she's like, you've been 17 for a long time. I was like, 17. You know, and I learned a long time ago, the way I was able to pull off 17 is I didn't just act it when I came in the room. I acted when I walked into the office. I asked for the bathroom keys. I was twidgety, you know, because before I was acting like a 25-year-old college student, college graduate, which was more mature. So I learned some things about how to really pull that stuff off. Worked like a charm. I worked all the time as an actress and I sucked.
It's so refreshing to hear somebody say I sucked, because it's like the last thing that most people want to be
I
able
did.
to.
I had to finally admit it. You know, I mean, I got by because I had the look. I had the all-American look. I had the pearly whites. You know, I just had the wide set eyes. I had just all the physical stuff that they wanted. And
Mm,
I knew how to dress it up and put it out there. And they bought it. They weren't looking for talent. They were looking for types. They were looking for an image.
right.
And they still do that. You know, if you
Yes.
can act, that's a bonus. But that's why you see so many bad actresses on television.
Hmm. 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 Absolutely. So, what happened first? Was it your realization that you were not a good actor that happened first that had you change, or what got you moving into other areas of film?
Well, I started this publication called Black Talent News, and it was the Black version of show business. This was a trade publication called Show Business, which was kind of like Hollywood Reporter, Daily Variety, but it was more for actors. And so I created the Black version of it.
So, was
And
this was
I,
this kind of a an expansion of your Tanya's newsletter? Was it was that how you got into that?
that's a good question. You know, I just always had some pull in me to do something like this. I mean, I've always been God led. None of these things I came up with. I just some voice inside of me said that you need to do something like this. I went to an audition with Petronia Paley, well-known actress, and here's this very gay white ad agency executive asking me to talk more Black. And I'm like, huh? You know, I'm Black, you know, but he said, talk more Black, you know, but I'm from the burbs. I'm like the Obama type of Black. And he didn't want that. And that was my first indication that there were different types and all of that. So I used to ride the buses and subways in New York and write down all the slang so that I could go to an audition and be cool. And so I had my parents take Xerox pages, like 4 pages, to the Harlem Book Fair. I said, sell it for $5. They were like, what? Sold out. This thing
Wow.
called Black Talent News.
Wow.
And so in LA, I suddenly decided to do this trade publication. It was like 24 pages. I went to the same printer as Hollywood Reporter, got it printed. I found a distributor. He said, no one's going to pay $2.97 for it because that's the price I came up with it. He's like, there's no color, there's no this, no that. Took it anyway, sold out.
Wow.
People wanted the information.
Yes.
You know,
Hmm.
the information wasn't there. It's about supply and demand. And so if you've got something that's valuable, it doesn't matter how you dress it up, you know, get it to them. That doesn't necessarily apply for writing and filmmaking, but in certain categories that works. And so that was my foray into filmmaking. And that's where I've been for the last 30 years.
And so with Black Talent News, what was the information you were were telling people about that they didn't have? What was it
Well,
that you knew, that you had learned, that you were able to pass on to other people that they didn't have?
I guess I should have said that after that came out, Black Talent News, I wrote a book called Black State of the Art. It's a guide to developing a successful career as a Black performing artist. It was the first how-to Bible for Black actors, models, singers, dancers. And I printed it myself, and a publisher then came and acquired it for me. Mm-hmm. And it was all over the country and everything. And what it was it was the same how-to book for everybody else, but it came from a Black perspective. Mm-hmm. And that was simple things like, when you're an actress, you have to make sure that the photographer who's shooting you knows how to shoot Black skin, right? Because you see some Black people who look dark because they don't know how to do the aperture or look too light and all of that. So it was little things like that, how to deal with situations, not calling people a racist because they don't get it and they've stereotyped you, the fact that you have to make choices as an actor and it may not be a role that you want to take. And then a lot on how to market yourself and sell yourself, because that was my specialty. And so that book was sold for like 10 years.
Mm. What do you advise Black actors who get offered roles that they don't really want to take? What is your advice?
You have to look inside yourself. That's number one. If you don't feel comfortable playing a role and it makes you feel bad, then I would say you may want to think twice about it. If it's just kind of like a political feeling, doesn't really make you feel bad, you just don't want to play that role, really think about it. Think about your career. Think about what it could possibly do. This may be the one role that you have to play like this, and that will take your career to another level. I had a screenwriting client, my first client actually, pay me $10,000. And he was he worked at an airport, the baggage guys, putting them on planes. And he had written this really great script about a Black guy and a white guy who worked they were single, successful, Playboy types. And they worked in a medical lab where they were sending people back in the past. And by mistake, they got caught in the time warp and they went back to slavery days. The only thing is that because the man who wrote it, he did not want Black people to sound stupid, to sound like they talk slave talk. He wanted them to be intelligent. I'm like, dude, this is like in the 1800s. This is how they talk. They're not talking like the 1980s, but he just would not have any of that. And so, I went through the 6 months that he had hired me for and parted ways. But that's kind of an example when you have to make a choice. You may not want people to sound crazy that you think is crazy, but you have to be realistic and you have to be authentic. And, they're back in slave days, they're smart guys. They're not going to want to call attention to themselves. They're going to want to assimilate into the background and be quiet and try to figure out how to get back to the present day times. And so he did not like the idea of having to go write the whole script in that language because he wrote it as like they were in 1980. Perfect English, the King's English, instead of talking like they were from the South.
Yeah, with no education and yeah.
So
interesting. I can imagine that script doing well today.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really great story, but that also taught me, it was my first lesson in not every client is good for you, not all money is good money. Because even though he paid me the most that I had ever made at that point, it was hella hard dealing with him because he did not understand the business. And that's when I said, I have to work with people who are just not completely green because it's hard. It's like, why don't people call me back? I'm like, people in Hollywood do not call you back. He thought it was rude. I can't explain all that to you. So yeah. Well, I learned.
You and I, because we're both coaches, so there's a term that we share that I don't usually share, but we talk about when people are not coachable.
I get a lot of them all the time. I mean, especially since I've been on Clubhouse. I mean, people have come into the rooms and have challenged me on things. And one lady, matter of fact, she was in a room the other day and she said, Tanya, do you remember that guy who challenged you about this and that and said that you were a scammer and all of that? I said, oh yeah, I remember him. She said, He came in another room 2 weeks later, having done everything that you said.
Aha. Aha. Yes.
I said, I know what I'm talking about. I've been doing this for almost 30 years. This is reality. Hollywood is not like everything else. It's got its own culture, its own way of doing things. And you have to understand that if you're going to play the game and you want to get anywhere.
Yes, exactly. So after you started Black Talent News and that was so popular, what did you do next? What came after that?
Then I formed something called the Infotainment Conference,
Mm.
info and then entertainment. And I did it at Loyola Marymount about 2 years. I thought, a few people would come, packed, people from all over the country. Thank God we had a host hotel. I just had it in case. So everybody was at the same hotel. It was a big old party. I mean, it was like, Sundance, but smaller.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't screen films. It was all panels and workshops. And the filmmakers there said, oh, it would be cool if you had films. And
Uh-huh.
that was the genesis of the Hollywood Black Film Festival. And I had spoken at other festivals. I had not considered doing a festival. I was happy doing conferences, infotainment conferences. That was going to be my brand. And I was just going to do infotainment conferences.
Mm.
And next thing you know, here I am starting the Hollywood Black Film Festival. And 20 years later, it's one of the biggest Black film festivals in the world.
Mm.
That's just a God thing. I mean, that's not me, I just say it was ordained to be.
It's so interesting though that you started with the education and the panels and the years ago I was doing all of that stuff for a Brazilian film festival in Miami. And it's just interesting. It's like you and I we just have the same mind because
We've gone, yeah, we have the same mind. We think the same way. That's
yeah,
why I love to have you in clubhouse rooms because, I know you're going to bring it to a different level than everybody else because they are filmmakers as well that are giving out information. We're looking at the business aspects.
hmm
Very, very different because you have to take the emotion out of it and you have to look at it as a business, a brand, as a piece of property, and what's its value and how do you mitigate the loss and all that kind of stuff. And they don't necessarily like that, because
no,
that's not all warm and fuzzy all the time. And I'm
it's
real straight in your face. So people like, oh, she's a lot to handle, but that's who I am. I'm from New York. I mean, come on.
no, I think it's hard. Filmmakers, they basically put their heart and soul into their work. And then when we use terms like you just said property, but from the business perspective, that's what a film is. I had a guest on recently, and she was an economics major originally, and she fell into film, and she said she realized, but wow, film is such a great product because you can sell it and then you can sell it again and then you can sell it again and then you can sell it again. And I thought that was so great.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So
As
once
many different platforms as you can get it on, as many different vehicles as you can use to sell it and make money and reach an audience. That's what it's about.
yes, and so once you decided you were going to go with the festival and add to your educational pieces, add the films, how did that change everything? What was that like?
Well,
Starting a
we're
festival.
really well known as a film festival, of course. We're known as a film festival that's based in Hollywood, that has a very Sundance sensibility, because I modeled our festival after Sundance. I
Mhm.
wanted it to be an industry event where people would actually buy and sell films. So the first time that, there was a
That
bidding war on a
is
film, I
special.
was like, yes, 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 yes. I was so excited. I didn't know what to do with myself. And then the other thing is that Infotainment Conference is like our centerpiece. Everybody wants to come to the Infotainment Conference. Number one is all the speakers, they come back and come back and come back. So we have great speakers, top people in every area of the business, from agents to managers, financiers, producers. And it's very much a family, and they give it to you straight. And people don't get this type of information other places. People walk out of those rooms spent. sweating hot. I need a drink after all of that because it was a lot, And then I remember once when a really well-known attorney, I'm not going to say who it was, but he's one of the big agencies, one of the top 100 attorneys in LA. He stayed for like 2.5 hours after his panel talking to people. They were blown away. They were like, what? And I remember when Sidney Poitier came, because we did an opening night and we gave him an award. He was walking down Wilshire Boulevard. He didn't want a limo, didn't want nothing. And I'm like, is that him? I'm looking at this Black man walking. You've seen too many Black people walking down Wilshire Boulevard. And I'm looking and I'm like, is that him? And I went up and I'm like, Mr. Poitier, you didn't call us or anything? He's like, child, please. He walked right up, got on the red carpet, talked to everybody, stayed, took every photo with everybody who wanted a photo. He was so gracious, amazing.
I've always
and
had
so
that.
it's from the top down, and that's always been my mantra. Is we're a filmmaker friendly festival. It's about the filmmakers. It's not about celebrities. The celebrities are the filmmakers. And so I make them feel that way. They get on the red carpet too. I make a big deal about it because number one, they are. And number two, I want them to experience that. And so they can say if nothing else happens in their filmmaking career, they came to HBFF, people in the press, because we have like 100 press members on our press line, asked them questions and everything. They felt like stars. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And, so you and I met. In fact, I just got yesterday a message from Clubhouse saying it was my 1 year anniversary. So that means you and I met 1 year ago yesterday. And
because of Ben Yenny, though.
Because of Ben Yenny, yes. And over time, what I noticed, because I haven't been to your festival, but I've said, the second that COVID is done, I'm going to be there. But
and we're supposed to have it this October, and last year we were going to have it, and then the Delta variant started, and I remember saying we're not going to have it. I said to myself, we're not going to have it. I just didn't want to do an online. It's a lot of work. We don't have the manpower. We don't really have the technology. And our festival is special. And, I wanted it to be live. So we didn't, thank God, because we would have never been able to do it. And then just like I knew Sundance wasn't going to happen. And then they just announced, no, I have a feeling that we're going to be in the midst of it in October, but we're planning still. Okay. I'll make a final decision in April. Okay. And I just pray that another variant doesn't rear its head. I believe COVID is here to stay. I don't think it's going anywhere, but I just want it to dissipate to a point that we could go live with events again,
Yes. I mean, one solution is Slamdance started a Miami festival. I was a consultant for them on that, and they did it outdoors. And it was great because the weather is gorgeous. So that's one solution, but we'll see.
That is a good solution because it never rains in LA. I mean, rain, people don't understand. We live in the desert, we live on the desert. Yes. So that's good. I mean, we're in October. We could do an outdoor event. That's a good idea.
Something to think about. But
yeah, thanks.
One of the things that I realized over the months as I got to know you and I was listening to you, I think sometimes filmmakers think I'm anti-film festival, and I'm not. But I am only interested in film festivals that provide value for filmmakers. And I think that the majority of film festivals don't. And I don't think it's from malice. I don't think it's from anything like that. It's just that they are not geared for film festival. That's film.
Not where their head is at. They didn't grow up, they didn't start educating, being in the edutainment business. And so that's who I am. And that's why, that value is so important to me.
Yes. And so I'm very excited when you said about, wanting your festival to be a place where films are bought and sold, because there are very few festivals where that is the case. And over the years, I have approached, I'm connected to several film festivals. I've written to executive directors who are lovely people, and I've said, I am in the business of buying and selling films, and can you introduce me to your filmmakers? And I have got nowhere.
What? The first thing we want to do, it's like, you got to come to our breakfast then and meet everybody. You know,
Yes,
we want
of
them to
course.
be exposed.
Of course,
Yes,
but
definitely.
that is all I'm saying is it is not the case for the majority of film festivals.
Wow.
And you don't know this because you're so involved in yours, but most festivals have no educational component.
They
That's
do panels and workshops, but it's not a
no,
component really. It's just there. Like I went to one festival and they wish the panelists off the stage, took them backstage right away. No one could come up and talk to them. And then they had all celebrities as panelists, you know, and it was like one girl, she just luckily got a shot, you know, she didn't really do anything. She couldn't tell us anything except for, you know what I mean? So yeah, we're very careful about who we choose as well.
yes. No, most film festivals have no educational component. If they do, it's a panel or two. You know, I remember when I had been living in San Francisco for a long time and I was excited. I went back to the Miami International Film Festival and they had two panels,
We
which were
have
very nice.
24. We have 24.
It's
We have
just
over 100 speakers every year.
it's to put that event on, that kind of educational event is a massive deal. And so I, you know, now, even though I've never been to the Hollywood Black Film Festival, it's now on my top list, which is only about six, because
Yay!
because I've heard enough from you to know exactly what you're trying to do, and this is, to me, what makes a festival worth it for a filmmaker.
And you know, we took it to Nigeria as well.
Oh, wow.
Nollywood is the third largest film market in the world after Hollywood and Bollywood. And so I had some people there that wanted to finance bringing me and some people over and doing a Nollywood version. It was interesting, but you know, the whole point was to educate Nigerian filmmakers on selling films in the international marketplace. So they weren't just thinking about, you know, doing them in Nigeria where the bootlegs are crazy. They're films that win awards that haven't even been released, but you know, have sold $1 million in the bootleg market.
Yeah.
And so we did it. It was great. I mean, you know, they really got a lot of information on how to do a film, and then to do it so that you could get, you know, international distribution. You could take it places with a Hollywood sensibility.
Nice. Yes. So what are some fun stories from all your 25 years of having the festival? What are some fun stories that you have about buying and selling films, or about filmmakers? Because you've watched filmmakers' careers grow over those 25 years, who started out with you maybe as beginners and have
all the time. It trips
developed.
me out. I'm on Clubhouse and I'm on a stage and somebody will say, oh, I had a film in HBFF. I had a film in HBFF. The whole friggin' stage had a film in HBFF at one point. Or they got introduced to the industry from Black Talent News. So, you know, that's really makes me proud that, you know, a lot of people that you know too, you'd be surprised, you know, they'll tell you they were in Black Talent News, or they were, you know, they got all the copies, or they were at Infotainment Conference and, you know, they listened to my every word and stuff, and that inspired them. And so for me, that's always been my mantra is, you know, I want to be inspiring, educational, empowering, all of those things so that filmmakers have the tools, the resources, the knowledge, and the information that they need to be filmmakerpreneurs, because that's what you are. You're filmmakerpreneurs. You're running your own business, and you have to understand, you know, all that an entrepreneur needs to understand. Just in a different industry, you've got to know financing and marketing and sales and, fulfillment and all of those things. You really have to have a business mind. And I tell my filmmaking clients, go take, a business administration 101 class at your local community college so that you get some understanding of the business world, because, they don't want to hear when they call up and say, oh, I really want to submit to your festival, but I spent all my money. I don't have the entry fee. Sorry. Nope, not going to happen. This is a business. You've got to plan for this stuff. So, I play tough love with them because they have to learn, if they want to succeed in this business, because if you give it to them, they're never going to learn anything. And they'll always just stay at that one place. And it'll be like, a hamster on a wheel, round and round and round, never going anywhere. So for me, that's like really important.
Yeah. So who are some of the filmmakers you've watched? Maybe not just filmmakers, maybe actors as well, but who have you seen over those 25 years grow as you've had your festival?
Boy, I'm so bad on names, Joanne.
Me
I am
too.
horrible. Horrible.
Terrible.
I think one of the first filmmakers who actually taught me something was a guy named Donahue Truitt. And he was at USC as a student, like when he was like 19. So he was like really, really smart. And he was a Christian. And he had this film about Christian relationships. And he got into the festival. And the first thing I saw when we opened the door that first time was all of his cast and crew coming in their T-shirts that said the name of the film. They had so much branding, it was ridiculous. You never not saw them. You knew exactly when their film was going to be seen, and the theater was sold out. We had to do a second screening. So seeing him work that, not a whole lot of money, but he bought the cast and the crew. They were all LA based. So, otherwise you'd have to fly people in. But how he used that marketing angle to fill the seats, to get butts in seats, and to build, even the press was asking, what's going on with this movie? He got so much play, and he went on and did a lot of things afterwards. He's not a big name or anything, but there are a lot of working filmmakers who make films and make money and survive. And he's one of those people.
I love that you just said that, because I think that often, and I think often filmmakers miss that concept. That, I have a very dear friend who's a working screenwriter in Hollywood. He's doing very well, thank you very much. I know nobody's ever heard from him, but he's doing very well. But maybe he's not famous, maybe the only person who's ever interviewed him, but that there's and I used to I one time I was working in this like juvenile justice place anyway, and I would tell the kids, watch the credits, because when I watch the credits of a film, and credits of a film go on and on and on and on, I watch the film and I say,
that's with a pen and a paper.
That's my job. That's my job. That's what, there's so many jobs there. All of those people are working, earning a living, earning a good living. Why not you?
Yep.
Why not you? But
and have a pad and a pen so you can take down names, because when you do your film, you're going to need certain types of people, and might as well, you're going to have to go out there looking for them anyways. Might as well go to somebody that you saw their movie, you liked it, and you're saying, I need a P grip, and I love this film, and what's your rate, kind of thing. You gotta have names, you gotta know some people. So credits is the best way to do that.
That's great. I love that. And so if a film gets into your festival, what do you encourage them to do? What do you want them to get out of the experience of coming to the Hollywood Black Film Festival?
That's a big thing for us. I do I guess you call a webinar, masterclass, whatever, for everybody. for all the filmmakers. And we have usually, the most we've had is 125 filmmakers, and have gone down to 85. And, we do this big, very structured session on all things film festivals, what you need to bring, what you need to be prepared for, how to answer questions, how to make sure you get something out of your festival experience. Because most filmmakers go to a film festival, they screen their film, but they don't get anything out of the experience. If they didn't win an award, they don't have any press, they don't have anything. So we kind of give them a list of the ways that they can make a way for themselves. We talk about, getting press interviews. We talk about selling their films, from the tables. We talk about getting pictures of your cast and crew on the red carpet and signage, and doing man on the street interviews, and, talking to the camera in front of places, telling people where you are, because that's all footage that you could use for a sizzle reel, or that you could use for your blog. When you're talking about, you've been to a film festival, you just don't want to shoot a dark room with the Q&A afterwards, and then we go over the whole Q&A thing because it's dark, and I tell people, well, it's a theater and they have plugs. So bring a light, bring a ring light yourself up so everybody can see you. If you have to, bring your own tall director's chair. So you're not sitting down, you're sitting up and people can see you. Make sure that you have somebody. You don't need to have a videographer per se. You just need to have somebody with the latest Apple iPhone or iPad, and that they're shooting the entire thing. Have 2 or 3 people getting it from a couple of different angles, and then you could edit together something really good. And then our Q&A moderators, they have a list of questions that are really geared towards getting information out of the filmmakers that people will want to hear about, the genesis of the project, how they put it together, how long, how did they raise the money, all of that. But that also offers the filmmakers something that they can actually use later, some IP on themselves. So we really do a lot for the filmmakers. We make sure our screens are clean. We check, all of that beforehand. Go to some festivals and they play in the wrong film at the wrong time. The screens are dirty. We don't see any of that at our festival.
So really what you're coaching those filmmakers to do is to take the most possible advantage of being at the festival to market themselves. And I'm going to ask this question. This is going to sound silly to you, Tanya, but this is not for you. This is for everybody listening. What is the purpose of having the filmmaker market themselves at the festival?
Well, they want to build their career, right? So, they want people to know that they're out there. And filmmakers is a sea of beige. Everybody looks the same. Everybody's there at the film festival. They all have a film. They're indistinguishable except for the uniqueness of who they are. And so you've got to bring something. You've got to make yourself stand out so that people will want to talk to you. You've got to know how to talk to people. You have to have a personal pitch. What do you say when they say, who are you? What do you do? How the film, there's questions that they're going to ask. I give filmmakers a list of questions that they have to be able to answer that you're going to hear all the time. So why not practice them? Know the answer. So it's intelligent, it's smart, it puts you in a good light. There's no ums and ahs and all of that kind of stuff. Just, really supporting the filmmakers and getting them prepared for the festival and all the things that they could possibly get out of it. How to make money from your film. Don't sign a distribution deal right away. Stay away from 180 deals. There's a lot of stuff because there are a lot of unscrupulous distributors who come to the festival. And, I can't stop them from coming. They buy a ticket. They're everywhere. They're in the real world. But I like to, let the filmmakers know what they should look out for. Don't just think because a distributor wants to take your film. And a lot of times with filmmakers, I always find maybe 2 or 3 filmmakers that I just have lots of love for. I just think they're so outstanding. Their work is great. They have a good head on their shoulders. And I kind of take them out under my wing. I let them know, if you get a deal offer, send it to me. Let's talk about it. If you don't have anybody to talk about it to, I don't do that for everybody, but for those that I think really are special, I want to see them flourish. So, but we do a lot of coaching and training of filmmakers, and our educational stuff is dope. I mean, it's like geared towards helping them. And, we have people like Jeff Hardy from Film Profit, who, you got to have a doggone calculator when you talk to him, because he's going to talk numbers. He gives us ROI reports, so they know what they look like. They walk away with goodies, actual things that they can look at, business plans and, financials and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Fabulous. And another thing that I want to ask you about that I've heard you talk about a lot on Clubhouse is some of the mistakes that filmmakers make when it comes to networking.
Oh, God. Yeah. That's the area where I have to learn to maintain my composure, because I just don't understand how people don't think. I get tons of emails and they don't even say hello. Just, can you get me an agent? I want to network with you. Can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? I'm like, dude, I don't even know who you are. So what I do now is I send back an email. What's your name? Who are you? What do you want? I mean, I have like a series of questions. And then I just recently put together a cheat sheet, and I send it out to everybody who sends me a crazy email. And I say, before you start trying to network online, you need to learn the etiquette. And it's a list, it's called Do's and Don'ts for Networking Online. And I did it really nice in Canva, huh?
Can people really get it on your website? I think, yeah?
No, it's not on my website, because I just send it to people when they,
just the people who messed up.
Yeah, when they send me a crazy email that, I mean, I want to beat them down. I'm just like, no, this is just wrong. And I noticed that I was getting angry, in my response. And so I did this, maybe it was about 2 months ago. It's called Do's and Don'ts of Networking Online. And it has in one page, everything. Don't. And so everybody I send it to, I know they're looking at that thing saying, well, no wonder she sent it to me. I did all the don'ts, all of them, but I'm hoping with, that one little sheet of paper that, next time they reach out to somebody, it's educating them, it's giving them information. And, it's really nice, actually. I was like, whoa. First of all, of course, I'm thinking, how can I sell it? I'm like, Tanya,
you should sell it. You should definitely sell it.
But, but it's just something that I do. And then they're so grateful. It's just one sheet of paper. It's a cheat sheet, but they're so grateful that they got this, because now they know how to approach people the right way. And so, I mean, I haven't gotten less of those crazy emails, but I'm sure, in their other interactions, they're sending out different ones, because, people just don't know how to talk to you online. They don't know anything about building a relationship. I always tell them, you can't, you have to have that no like and trust factor. You really have to have that, because people are not going to do something for you if they don't trust you, if they don't believe in you, if they don't know you. They're not going to put their reputation on the line by recommending somebody that they don't know. So no, I cannot introduce you to anybody, but this is how you can build a relationship with somebody. And it takes time and it takes commitment. Because I have one client, she's supposed to have been working on her networking for two and a half years now, hasn't done jack. She can't find the time. That's why your film's going nowhere. You ain't got nobody to sell it to, can't get nobody to work on it, she hasn't done it. Networking is hard. It takes commitment. You have to take daily action to build relationships. And you have to know how to do that, the process of doing that. hey, hello, platitudes. I love this film that you worked on. I love the way you directed this. I noticed you represent a lot of agents, a lot of talent that's
Well,
kind of like me. Huh?
Tanya, this what you're just talking about, that's my pet peeve. Because you started out with they don't even say hello. My pet peeve is they haven't bothered to find out who I am.
Yeah.
That's
They
my
have no
pet.
idea or what I do.
This is what I do, and it's all over, all my stuff. You can read about what I do. So why are you writing to me asking me to read your script?
You got to do one of those cheat sheets. That'll take the anger away. No, because it's a really angry thing. Year after year going through that, you opening up emails, I was really becoming a bitch about it. And some people called me on it. And it was just like, I'm sorry, I'm just sick of this shit. So that's what I had to do. But, they learn how to build relationships. And, that's what I teach them. And if you go to bit.ly/filmmaker-success-store, that's my Filmmaker Success store. There is something there about there's a networking book. I think it's like $27, $37, something like that. Fantastic. It walks you through how to build relationships, how to put together your hit list. How do you know what are the types of people that you need to create relationships with? And also, if you go up there, since the beginning of the year, I want to just make sure I give a shout out on this. I have something called the 2022 Filmmaker Planning and Action Guide. Excellent. It's $47. $47 is nothing when it's going to take you so far in your career. And it's a great investment to make. It helps you figure out what your goals are, but also how you're going to get there. Because everybody says, I want to make a film. I want to make a film by this date. Or people come and say, well, I want to do a TV show and a film and a music video. By when? By a year. No, it doesn't work like that. Plan it out. Set your goals. Know what the steps are. There's something also up there called the Filmmaker's Cheat Sheet. And that is a list of like 70 different steps towards making your film. So I have a lot of resources up there. It's bit.ly/filmmaker-success-store.
Okay,
And
I just put the link, but it's not quite the way you said it, but I just put the link in the chat,
Oh, did it come up?
It didn't come up like Bitly, the Bitly one, but the one you're spelling out, maybe like C caught it, but I put the link anyway. So,
Okay.
so what you're
but
saying
go up there because there's some great, buy everything. I mean, you guys have to learn how to educate yourself. The only way to be successful in this business is if you know what you know is what you know. If you don't know how to do things, you're going to get scammed. You're going to get burnt out. You're going to be spinning your wheels. It's not free to be a filmmaker. Even if you start going out to events, you got to pay for a drink, pay for parking. You come to Los Angeles, parking ain't cheap, right? I see people walking a mile to get their car if they're in Century City because they don't want to pay for the parking. That's crazy. Plan for how much money you're going to need to have to actually pursue this thing. And so that's what this planning guide will help you with, doing all that stuff. But yeah, for all of you guys, just really make sure that, you're on top of your game. I believe that every filmmaker can be successful if
Absolutely.
you know what you're doing,
Absolutely.
and the reason why you're not is because you don't know what you're doing. That's it.
And all those resources are available on Tanya's site. And so you don't have to send Tanya a bad email to get them.
Or you can go to my website and then hit store, and that will also take you there.
That's the link that I put there. All right. So we're going to open it up for the last 10 minutes for questions. And anybody who wasn't here at the beginning, this is our special COVID edition because it seems like all of us have COVID. But
everybody's got this Omicron.
Yes.
Get vaccinated, folks.
Please
get a booster.
Get
vaccinated because you can live with this variant. It's not going to kill you. It's totally different symptoms from the first one. And, you know, if you get vaccinated, you protect yourself. Because I'm telling you, I feel like I was on death's bed. And then they said that was mild. That's what my doctor said. Oh, you're
Wow.
mild. I was like, what? No way. It's rough.
Absolutely. So I like it when people are on video to ask their questions, or on audio.
Okay.
So does anybody have a question for Tanya while she's here? Who has a question? Roberta! Yay! Go ahead.
Hi, nice to meet you, Tanya, and I hope you feel better real soon.
Thank you. I'm slowing down now. And medicine's wearing off.
Okay, I'll make it brief. I am putting together a team for a faith-based film. It's actually, it will be my second feature. And the person I worked with before, the director, was not a believer. I want to really get someone who is a faith-based director.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I was wondering, how would you go about that?
I would just, you know, again, it's about networking. It's about you doing your homework. Get that networking guide, because here's the thing. You've got to figure out, you got to put together a hit list of people that are producers that are faith-based, and you can find them out. There's like Devon Franklin. There's certain people out there that are in that. You have to read. You have to, you know, go up to websites for Gospel Today and things like that. Look in their entertainment section. Look at whose films that they're doing. You know, there's more than Tyler Perry and T.D. Jakes and Devon Franklin. There are other people out there doing that. And it depends on what you want the producer to do. You know, and there's like 10 different types of producers. And, you know, an executive producer is the one who brings in the money, but, you know, there's consulting producers and supervising producers and assistant producers and all these other things. So you have to be very clear on what you want a producer to do for your project. Just don't think that because you say I need a producer, they're going to know what you want, because it's so many different types. And I would really, it's about research, and use Google, you know, look for that. Go up to gospel and faith-based conferences, and usually they'll have a panel on film or something. Put up film faith producers, use different keywords in Google, and put together a hit list. You know, put down the names, go check them out on LinkedIn, see what they've done, and there you go. You got your list.
Thank you.
You're
Awesome.
welcome.
That was great. Thank you, Tanya. LaShonda, what's your question?
Yes, good morning, Miss Tanya. I would like to know, I'm interested in doing.
I can't hear you very well.
Okay, let's see here. Good morning, Miss Tanya. I'm interested in doing a biopic over someone's life. How would you approach that person to get their permission that you're interested in doing that?
I can't hear a word you're saying. Can you hear Joanne?
Yeah, LaShonda said she wants to make a biopic about. Did you say the name of the person?
No, I didn't.
A person. How would you go about getting their permission to do that?
If the person is alive, are they alive?
Yes.
Then you have to, are they a public figure?
Are they a public figure, LaShonda? Oh, sorry, I just muted you by mistake. Sorry. Go ahead, unmute. I won't interfere.
Okay. No, they're not a public figure. It was an event that took place in the community. So this story is.
Oh,
I can't hear Joanne.
LaShonda, we can't hear you. I don't know why. It's not the mask. It's something to do with the sound.
I don't. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Oh, that's better.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. An event took place in.
No, it went away again. Anyway, let's just go with, it's not a public figure. They are alive. How do you go about getting permission from them?
Basically, you find out contact information, you know, call them up and say that you're looking to license the rights to their life story. You want to do a film. It's that simple. You know, some people say okay for $5. Some people say okay for $500. Some people say 5,000, 50,000. You know, it's what you want to pay. You know, do some research on how much people are paying for rights for biopics. Everything, guys, you need to do, you got to research. Okay. I mean, I can tell you the things you need to do, but you still have to go and do the work. So you want to research, you know, find out what biopics are going for. And if you're going to do a straight biopic of their life, then you need the rights. If you're going to do something similar and write your own script, that may be a little different. So you would want to talk to your attorney. If you don't have an attorney, you're in LA, you can go to Volunteer Lawyers for the Arts, and they have inexpensive lawyers to work with filmmakers and writers and things like that. But you need legal representation because you're dealing with rights, and you have to make sure that, you know, you've covered your butt, because you don't want to put together a film and they stop production, you know, after you've gotten investors and actors and everything else. You're liable to pay all of them, and they come and stop the production because you don't have the right rights. So everybody always have an attorney. Even if you think you could read the contract, have an attorney. And then, you know, just work on getting their rights, you know, letting them know why you want to tell their story, you know, having a really clear idea of the trajectory of the story, because, you know, a life is a long period of time. So, you know, what part of their life story are you telling? Why are you telling it? Why is it interesting? Why do you think people will want to see it? All of that stuff, because, you know, you want to butter them up a little bit too, make them feel important. I always say platitudes are great, and just go for it.
Yeah, definitely. And I have a couple of clients, one who went to the family of the person who was dead, and the family said no, they wouldn't give the story rights. So she's going to have to, as Tanya was just suggesting, she's going to have to go and write a script that's somewhat different. And so it may look like that character, but it's going to not be that character. And then the other one was working on a story about a person, and for a long time, and then, you know, started working with me, and I said, well, you have to go and get the story rights, and they won't get the story rights either. So it's a very common thing that people don't want to do it.
Yeah, and sometimes, you know, then what you do is, you know, you write a script, you know, not telling their story, but telling your story that's similar, you know. So, you know, it's influenced by, or, you know, motivated by, or inspired by, I guess is the word they use, something like that. But, you know, if it's a story of a basketball team from the inner city that's suddenly successful, that happens everywhere. So you've just got to decide, hold on, I'm losing my power here. You've got to decide, you know, how you're going to do that, and to get the rights to it. Okay, now I've got my power. I didn't have power plugged in.
So it's the top of the hour, so I promised Tanya that we would let her leave at this time. Do we have any more questions before Tanya leaves? Anybody else? No. Okay. Well, we're going to let you go then. And
just one more thing, everybody. I put together all those resources in my Filmmaker Success store. They're all relatively inexpensive. Go get you some information. You have got to know how to do this stuff. You can't just figure it out on the way. You know, there's no specific way on how to be successful as a writer or a filmmaker, but there's stuff that you need to know. You know, and if you don't know it, then you get scammed, then you waste your time, then you waste your money, because you do it all the wrong way. So, you know, if you're looking to network, go up there and get my networking guide. Everybody, go get that filmmaker planning and action guide. Everybody should get that, because that will change the trajectory of your career. I promise. It will make you look at your career in a completely different light, and you will be able to map out how you're going to make that film, how you're going to make that TV show. Who are you going to need in your corner? How much is it going to cost? You can't have a dream with no details. And details is what is missing. All the steps is what's missing. That's the cheat sheet. That's all there. I need to like bundle everything in a bundle, a toolkit kind of thing. I'll get to that one day. But you know, this is my passion. This is what I do for a living. I love working with filmmakers. I love helping them. I love seeing them grow and make great films and then come back to me and say, look at what I did. You know, so I just implore you all to make sure you've got a great coach here in Joanne, you know, and so just use that and just know that you have to invest in yourself. Filmmaking and screenwriting is not free. You know, there is a cost involved. Even if you're not paying a coach or a mentor, you're paying somebody to make sure that you know how to write well. You know, most filmmakers, I've been doing this almost 30 years. Most filmmakers, when I read their script, there is so much development work needed, it's ridiculous. You know, if you don't want to go through all that, go to, you know, writer's boot camp or go someplace, learn how to write, get yourself, you know, a system for writing, know how to pitch, know how to write a log line. If you can't write a log line and a synopsis, you're dead in the water. Nobody's going to ever be able to look at your project because they judge everything on that log line and synopsis. Right. That's the door to your project. So you have to be able to write them. That's 27 words about for that log line. I have yet to have anybody just off the bat give me a good log line. Very hard to write. Go up and read some log lines, see what I'm talking about. Look at how they took Star Wars or Avatar and put it into 27 words or less. All of that movie. Look at how they did that. It's just as hard writing a log line as writing a script. But once you've done the script, that's your next step. So you've got to be prepared to take it. So that's all I want to say. That's all I want to say. And thank you, Joanne. It's been fun.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you.
Love talking to you.
And I'm so appreciative that you came today, even though you're sick. And but once you get going with the filmmaking talk, then you're fine, right?
You have no idea. I'm ready to just fall out.
Fall out.
But like I said, I'm from New York, so I keep that New York energy. Got to show up. You know, show must go on, and that's just what it is. Turn it on and then turn it off.
Well, you go and get some rest.
Thank you.
We will talk soon, Tanya. Goodbye.
Okay, bye-bye, everybody.
So lovely to meet you all. Thanks for coming out this morning or afternoon for us East Coasters, and we'll talk soon. Bye.